What really holds a society together? We need each other. We're all born straight into a giant web of relationships, rules, traditions, and expectations. It's so tangled that most people never figure out the single most important force that keeps everyone from just walking away. So let's do our favorite trick again, wipe the slate clean and start from pure individualism. Imagine a bunch of adults, all with exactly the same natural rights, standing on completely equal ground. No government, no police, no priests, no history telling them what to do. If any one of them decides tomorrow to live completely alone in the woods, he can. He'd have total, unrestricted freedom, no one to answer to, ever. So why on earth would any of them give up even a tiny piece of that freedom to stick around with the others? The answer is brutally simple, because alone, they're screwed. Yes, a lone human has perfect freedom, and almost zero chance of satisfying the explosion of desires that come with having a big brain. Animals mostly want food, water, shelter, and mating, basic stuff they can often get by themselves. Humans? We start with those, then immediately level up. We want the food to taste good, the shelter to be warm and safe, the company to be interesting, the tools to be faster, the future to feel secure, the kids to have better lives than we do. One desire gets checked off, and our brain instantly invents 10 more. Here's the catch. No single human is good enough at everything to satisfy even a fraction of those upgraded desires on his own. One guy can hunt, another can build, another can heal, another can invent stories that make life worth living. Alone, each of us is pathetically limited. Together, we're unstoppable. That's the real glue. Society isn't held together by tradition, fear, or some mystical common good. It's held together because every single person needs the talents, work, and creativity of other people to live the kind of life his brain now demands. We voluntarily trade a little freedom, mainly the freedom to hurt or steal from each other, for access to everyone else's abilities. That tiny sacrifice unlocks a flood of possibilities no lone genius could ever achieve. At its core, society is nothing more complicated than a giant trading floor where people swap what they can offer for what they actually want. Your skill, my resources, her ideas, his labor, freely exchanged, no force required. When that exchange stays voluntary and fair, everyone wins and the whole group gets richer, safer, and happier. When someone starts using force, whether it's a king, a mob, or a bureaucracy, to take more than they've earned, the magic breaks and resentment moves in. That's it. That's the number one principle connecting every human being in any functioning society. We need each other's voluntary cooperation to live the big, rich lives our brains keep dreaming up. Everything else, laws, culture, government, is just details we add later to keep the trading floor running smoothly. Social gravity, the invisible force that actually holds us together. Every planet has gravity. It's the quiet, constant pull that keeps everything from flying off into space. Societies have something just like it, only it's not physical. Let's call it social gravity. Social gravity is the force that stops people from drifting apart and living as loners. It's not laws, not culture, not fear of God or police. It's much simpler. We stay close because we desperately need what the others can give us, and they need what we can give them. Society is just a giant exchange platform, and social gravity is the pull created by that endless need to trade. In any marketplace, two things matter: demand and supply. Demand always comes first. No one builds a product nobody wants. So let's look at demand. In our clean thought experiment, equal rights, no government, no propaganda, human desires pour out naturally and never stop. Curiosity, beauty, comfort, adventure, fun, status, love, our brains keep inventing new wants the moment old ones are satisfied. That flood of desires becomes a flood of demand, and that demand pulls people into action. Now look at the real world and you'll see social gravity being deliberately weakened. Take mainland China from the 1950s to the 1970s. Ordinary people were tied to their village or work unit. Want to visit another province? You needed a special letter. Want to see another country? Forget it. Travel is one of the most basic human curiosities, but the rules crushed it. Result? Almost zero tourism industry for decades. No demand equals no hotels, no guides, no airlines, no postcards. The desire was still there in people's hearts, but it was chained up, so the economy never felt the pull. Or look at countries where religious rules ban certain entertainment. Movies, dancing, music concerts, declared sinful and forbidden. People still crave stories, rhythm, and celebration. It's wired into us, but when the state or the clergy says no, that demand gets smothered. Filmmakers, musicians, and performers either leave, go underground, or never pick up the craft in the first place. A whole slice of human joy and creativity just disappears, along with all the jobs and wealth it would have created. Every time a desire is suppressed, a piece of social gravity dies. When large parts of normal human wanting are declared off limits, the pull that keeps people connected, productive, and innovative gets weaker. Society starts to feel heavy, gray, and poor, not because people stop wanting things, but because they were told their wants don't count. The stronger and freer the demand, the stronger the social gravity. The stronger the gravity, the richer, livelier, and more connected the society becomes. Let demand breathe, and everything else, art, travel, technology, music, comfort, follows on its own. Choke demand, and you choke the very force that holds a society together and makes life worth living. That's how simple it really is. Freedom, the oxygen of social gravity. That's exactly why freedom isn't some luxury add-on. It's the oxygen that keeps social gravity strong and healthy. People have to be free to say I want this and I dream of that without getting punished, shamed, or locked up, as long as they're not hurting anyone else or taking what isn't theirs. The moment you let human desires flow openly, demand explodes, and that massive pull drags everyone into motion, creating, building, trading, inventing, performing, traveling. Society lights up. History proves it over and over. Every time a chain on ordinary people gets loosened, things get better fast. When serfs were freed from the land in Europe, suddenly millions could move, learn trades, start businesses. Boom, villages turned into towns, towns into cities. When women got the legal right to own property, work, and keep their earnings, entire new industries, fashion, education, healthcare, retail, took off because half the population's desires were finally allowed into the marketplace. When travel restrictions fall, like Europe after the Iron Curtain or China loosening internal migration, hotels, trains, restaurants, and whole new tourist cities appear almost overnight. When the U.S. ended slavery and later segregation, suppressed talents and dreams poured into the economy and culture. Music, sports, literature, science, everything got richer because more people were finally free to want and to offer. The pattern never changes. Loosen the chains, liberate desire, watch social gravity go into overdrive, and prosperity follows. The societies that keep adding chains, whether through ideology, religion, caste, central planning, or endless rules, slowly suffocate. The desires don't disappear, they just go underground or die inside people. The pull weakens, innovation stalls, and life gets grayer. Freedom isn't the goal. It's the condition that lets social gravity do its job. The more freedom people have to chase their dreams without stepping on others, the stronger the invisible force that holds us all together and lifts us all higher. That's the whole story of human progress in one sentence. Supply, the side that doesn't come for free. We just saw how demand flows naturally, desires never shut up. Now flip the coin, supply. Humans are energy-saving machines by design. Our DNA screams, get the maximum reward for the minimum effort. That's why nobody wakes up excited to produce something that's already free. Sunlight, air, seawater, huge demand, zero supply industry. Why? Because nobody has to pay for it, so nobody bothers capturing or delivering it. In our clean thought experiment, where everyone is truly equal, you can't steal, you can't force, you can't trick. The only way to get what you want is to offer something the other person wants just as badly. That single rule turns our natural laziness on its head and transforms it into the greatest productivity engine ever invented. Your hunger for a better life becomes the exact motivation that makes you get out of bed and create value for someone else. I want a new phone. I have to build or code or sell something that someone else wants enough to hand over their phone or the money that buys it. Desire meets desire in a fair trade, and both sides win. Supply suddenly explodes because it's the only ticket to the demand side of the table. That's the perfect world. Fair exchange is the only way, and it's also the only morally clean way. Real history, again, is the ugly opposite. For most of recorded time, huge chunks of the population were forced to supply goods and services under threat of violence: slaves, serfs, indentured workers, corvée labor. The whip replaced motivation. Result? Miserable productivity. A slave swinging a hoe has zero reason to swing it better, faster, or smarter. He works just hard enough not to get beaten. Innovation? Zero. Pride in the work? Laughable. The master gets a fraction of what a free, motivated person would produce. Even today, the same pattern lives on in milder or harsher forms. North Korea is the modern textbook. Citizens are told where to work, how much to produce, and for whom. Personal desires are irrelevant or illegal. Outcome? One of the poorest, most backward countries on earth despite having plenty of labor and natural resources. No internal motivation equals no real supply, just forced output at gunpoint. Every time supply is coerced instead of volunteered, society pays a brutal price: low effort, low creativity, low quality, and a mountain of resentment. The lesson is the same on both sides of the equation. Let demand breathe and it means massive pull, social gravity. Let supply be voluntary and rewarded and it means massive push, motivation. Do both, and you get the explosion of wealth and progress we've seen in the freest eras and places in history. Block either one, and you choke the whole system. Freedom isn't just nice words. It's the only mechanism that turns selfish, lazy humans into a civilization that can put a computer in every pocket and a car in every driveway. Why free stuff always kills the engine. In any modern society, total wealth comes down to one simple formula: productivity times number of people actually working hard. Productivity is mostly driven by science, tools, and technology, stuff we invent when we're free to tinker and profit. The second part, how many people are truly giving their best effort, is driven by one thing only: fairness. If people believe they'll get the good life whether they work hard or not, most will choose or not. That's not evil, that's human nature doing exactly what it evolved to do: save energy. Communism and heavy socialism always promised the moon for free housing, healthcare, jobs, food, everything. Two things then happen every single time. The promise turns out to be a lie, because nobody's motivated to produce enough to give it away free, or they make good on the promise by force, take from the productive and give to the rest, which kills the motive to be productive in the first place. Either way, the engine stalls. The hardest workers either stop, leave, or learn to game the system, and pretty soon there's not enough stuff to go around. The track record doesn't lie. Socialism always ends the same way. Every single time a country goes full socialist, real ownership of the means of production by the state, prices set by planners, profit motive outlawed, the story ends almost identically. Productivity collapses and shortages become normal life. No exceptions. Not one. Soviet Union, breadlines, empty stores, people waiting years for a car, if they ever got it. China under Mao, great leap forward killed tens of millions, people eating tree bark while the state claimed record harvests. Cuba, 1959, today, doctors driving taxis because ration books don't buy enough food. Venezuela was the richest country in South America in 2001. By 2020, people were hunting zoo animals and digging through garbage while sitting on the world's largest oil reserves. North Korea, still the clearest picture: starvation next to missile parades. Even the softer democratic socialist versions that keep some markets, Sweden, Denmark, etc., only work because they're not really socialist on the production side. They have high taxes and big welfare, but private property, free pricing, and profit motive stay intact. When they flirted with more control, Sweden in the 1970s, 80s, they hit stagnation and had to roll it back fast. The reason is always the same. Once you remove the personal payoff for effort, risk, and creativity, most people stop giving full effort. You can't pass a law against human nature. You can threaten, you can propagandize, you can shoot the saboteurs, but you can't make people care about tractor production quotas the way they care about feeding their own kids or buying a better phone. Shortages aren't accidents. They're the predictable result of killing the only mechanism that reliably matches supply with real human demand, voluntary exchange driven by personal reward. Every country, every time, no exceptions. The data is brutal, consistent, and 100% unanimous. Human beings are not programmable robots who will keep grinding once the payoff disappears. We're clever animals who always ask, "What's in it for me?" Answer that question honestly and fairly, and you get oceans of effort and innovation. Lie about it, bribe people with free stuff, or punish success, and the effort dries up. You can't outsmart human nature. You can only work with it or watch your society slowly run out of gas. History keeps proving it, and the bill always comes due. If this video just made something click for you, if it finally explained why some systems always end in empty shells no matter how good they sound on paper, then do me a solid right now, smash that like button, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss these no BS breakdowns, drop a comment with the country you think proves the point best, and share this with one friend who still believes this time socialism will work. The more people who see the pattern, the harder it is for the same mistakes to keep getting sold as new ideas. Let's wake them up together. See you in the next one.